1995. A story about how a supposed extracurricular activity between a student and his teacher crossed every professional line. But it all begins in 1943, in Sweden, in Malmö. 15-year-old Stig moved here from Stockholm 2 years ago. He's settled into his new class, and his neighbor Elizabeth has a quiet crush on him. A new homeroom teacher arrives, Viola, also from the capital. After class, Viola catches Stig with a note passed around the desks. She asks him to read it aloud. Stig is embarrassed. It's silly classroom gossip. Viola shrugs it off, then asks him to wipe the board. As he cleans, their eyes meet. The moment is awkward and telling. Stig rushes to his part-time job at the movie theater. On the stairwell he meets Elizabeth. A brief chat, obvious mutual interest. At work he's scolded for being late. Elizabeth later tells her friend she likes him and even tries a Stockholm accent on the radio to get noticed. Late that night, Stig's older brother, Ziggy, drops by the theater. He dreams of serving on a submarine, but hasn't passed the tests yet. At home, he boasts that a boxing rematch with the local tough, Arvid, is coming up. Stig begins staying after lessons with Viola more and more often, helping with books, reading from a dictionary, simply talking. He learns where she lives. One day, Viola blurs the line between teacher and student. The two start meeting in private. Their first secret moment happens in an empty classroom, quiet and risky. Stig dares to visit her at home. Viola frames these meetings as extra help, reminding him to be careful because her husband could return at any moment. Her husband, Kjell, once finds Stig in the apartment but assumes it's tutoring and treats him like a guest. The bond deepens. Stig attends Ziggy's boxing match. Ziggy wins. Stig now even has access to Viola's apartment to study. On her birthday he brings flowers, but Kjell unexpectedly returns. His trip is cancelled. He still suspects nothing, and enthusiastically shows Stig a quirky invention he calls a drunken cuckoo, never letting go of his glass. Tipsy, he rants about nylon stockings and other trivialities. Eventually, seeing Stig in his robe, Kjell realizes what's been going on. He doesn't explode. Instead, he admits the marriage has been failing for a long time, and that he himself made serious mistakes early on. Meanwhile, Stig receives a coded letter from his brother, the hidden letter by V. Later he realizes it's the name of Ziggy's submarine. Ironically, Stig and Kjell begin spending time together, playing soccer, talking, each trying to escape their problems. Elizabeth, still hoping for a real connection, arranges a private moment during her mother's birthday party when the house is crowded. She invites Stig to talk. He freezes up and leaves, and she feels deeply embarrassed. Stig asks Viola why her marriage collapsed. She says Kjell was once a breath of fresh air, but has become someone she pities. She worries he'll fall apart if they separate. That evening, Kjell again vents about his failing business, tights don't sell, and he leans on alcohol to cope. Viola sets a time to meet when Kjell will be away. On the way, Stig runs into Elizabeth near the girls' locker room. He hides, passes her a note. Look inside, and when she does, she smiles, glad he reached out at last. Soon, rumors spread. The submarine V is missing. Stig realizes it's the one Ziggy hinted at. A telegram confirms it's gone. He hides the news from his parents, but his mother discovers it and breaks down. At the cinema, Stig works his shift. Both Viola and Elizabeth arrive. Viola checks on him, and Elizabeth sees them together. It feels like a betrayal. At home, Viola drinks and causes a scene. She senses Stig pulling away. Next day, Viola announces her decision. Stig will repeat the year. Not for grades, but to keep him under her supervision and out of sight. He threatens to speak up. She coolly replies, "No one will believe you." In class, he flips her desk in anger. The principal confirms he's being held back. In the corridor, he rips his grades from the journal. He storms into Viola's apartment. Chell is drunk again. Viola, cold and firm, makes it clear she could damage his life with a word. Realizing the trap he's in, Stig leaves. At school, the worst news arrives. Ziggy is dead. Elizabeth finds a new admirer. In the cinema, Stig watches newsreels about Submarine V, tears in his eyes. Then comes the funeral. Families gathered together to mourn. On the train home, his mother studies him. "Something is wrong with you." He whispers, "I'll tell you someday," and looks out the window. The story ends in the church, where certificates are handed out. Stig stands up and exposes Viola's misconduct before everyone. Afterward, he enters her empty classroom, opens her desk, and takes all her dictionaries, the last things she still clung to. Thus ends a story that began with a silly note and a glance at the blackboard. A story about broken boundaries, manipulation, guilt, and responsibility. And about how a submarine marked with the letter V dragged down not only men and steel, but also a boy's childhood.